The economy was black unemployment's record low under Joe Biden.
Are we topless at the White House?
President Trump is scheduled to appear.
It's arraignment day again for President Trump, scheduled to show up in Miami at about 3 p.m. Eastern this afternoon. Also, a Huntington Beach High School boos pride stuff during math class. Is it warranted? Joe Biden has topless people at the White House. And Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, went on Hannity last night. Got some clips from that. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
2, 1.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
Actually, their name's Jobob.
Ooh, live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is the Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today it is June 13th, the year of our Lord, Tuesday, 2023. Good stuff coming at you today. Interesting stuff. You know, whenever Donald Trump being kind of the pinnacle of everything at the moment, whenever he went on talk shows that were like the alphabet networks or, you know, CNN, he was going MSNBC sometimes, it was a hostile environment. Gavin Newsom went on Fox News yesterday with Sean Hannity, and everybody is saying, wow, look at how Gavin Newsom is going into the lion's den, which is what conservatives / Republicans / freedom lovers generally do. What I mean to say is that every single interview that Donald Trump gave on any of the alphabet networks, really any other network other than Fox and Newsmax, any interview he gave to anyone else was also one of those into the fire type interviews, but didn't really ever get any credit for that. But before we get to Gavin on Hannity, well, it's arraignment day again. I hate to continue laboring on about this because we talked about it at length yesterday, but I feel like I got a little bit more perspective yesterday. I watch a lot of the other shows, CNN, MSNBC in particular, because I like to punish myself, but also like to bring you the ideas coming from that side and hopefully articulate them in a fair way, maybe, but also, well, I'd like to be fair about everything, but just tell you what's happening on that side. Yesterday, I did things a little bit different, and I thought it was fascinating, and I hate to be the guy that sits here and blabbers on about my social media exchanges, but there was a video, and I'm not going to play it because honestly, it wasn't super funny, video that the Daily Show put out where the host was saying, look at how sad people are for Donald Trump, who's being indicted yet again. And I simply commented like, look, I probably could have just pulled it up and read it, but to characterize it, I said, regardless of what you think of Trump or Biden or Republicans or Democrats, conservatives, liberals, regardless of all of that, the executive administrative branch that is held by one party prosecuting, bringing charges against the lead candidate for that office from the other party is not good. That's all I said. Said, look, just so we're all clear, if Donald Trump had prosecuted Hillary or Obama for things that I'm sure is this is one of those at that level. It's very possible, and which is why everybody should be very skeptical about this. It's very possible for the whole "find me the man, I'll show you the crime." Show me the man, I'll show you the crime. In other words, doing things backwards, like, hey, let's go get Obama. Let's figure out something he did wrong. I've said multiple times, this whole Alvin Bragg, Manhattan DA, first indictment of a sitting president is literally a campaign finance violation, something that Obama and the Obama campaign team had to also pay the penalty for, because everybody commits campaign finance violations. It's not really that big of a deal. Nobody ever gets in trouble for it. You probably pay a fine and you move on. But can you imagine if I don't know, George Bush decided to indict Bill Clinton, or Obama decided to indict George Bush, or Trump decided to indict Obama. It goes on and so forth. So the thing that I'm trying to point out here is that regardless of how you feel about politics, this is crazy. It just is. The executive branch of one party prosecuting the leading candidate for the other party is just freaking crazy. But people on social media didn't see it that way, which I thought was fascinating. And there's this whole idea on the lefty side of the aisle that anytime you point out something that happened in the past on the other side, it's called whataboutism. Have you ever heard of this term, whataboutism? I'm sure you have. But a lot of people on the lefty side of the aisle, if ever pushed back on their ideas based on consistency, they talk about this thing. Well, let's just, let's stop with the whataboutism. Because that's really what it is. When you talk about, Donald Trump being indicted for something, you say, well, wait a minute. If you're hip to any of the news going on, you say, wait a minute, what about Hillary? Well, wait a minute. What about Hunter Biden? Wait a minute. What about any of the foreign transactions that Joe Biden took? What about all of those things? And then people on cable news and apparently in social media will say, you're just engaging in whataboutism, and we need to look at the focus at hand. The idea of whataboutism is literally just consistency and fairness. Did Donald Trump do things that are wrong? Probably, honestly. I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I don't know what the actual ramifications of classified documents and then moving the classified documents around, which is now being called obstruction. The whole thing aside, because then it's espionage and was he trying to sell it to foreign assets? No, I don't want to litigate the case here. What I'm trying to say is that if you're going to prosecute somebody at that high of a level, your case needs to be, one, airtight, and your credibility needs to be, two, undeniable. The case needs to be airtight. The credibility needs to be undeniable. As far as the case goes, I don't actually know. We'll let evidence come through or whatever. All we have is an indictment now. So if it comes to what he actually did wrong and what's illegal, I don't know. The problem lies in factor number two, the credibility of the people prosecuting. The entire credibility of, the FBI, but also just the DOJ as a whole, the Justice Department, has been so squandered over the last couple years that are we, the people, supposed to believe, this time we'll play it straight. This time it'll be okay. That's the thing that I think people can't quite understand, because on the social medias, I went back and forth with a lot of people for a lot of times, and I understand too that I'm in this as a job. I get it. I know. I realistically probably know more. If ever conversation about politics comes up in my real everyday life with people and they want to talk about it, I'm happy to engage. But at the same time, I like to level set. Just look, this is a job. If we were talking about whatever your job is, plumbing, I can participate, but I just don't know as much. And so, I understand that going into conversations on social media. But the entire tenor of everything was what he was doing is illegal. And I was like, yeah, but that's not the point. That's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is the credibility of the prosecuting agency has been entirely lost. If during the Obama administration they had prosecuted Hillary Clinton, we might be having an entirely different conversation. I would be willing to say, right now, I'm still willing to say, yeah, we'll look at what's happening to Trump, but as of right now, it looks like a political prosecution. It's exactly what it looks like. I'm willing to have an open mind about it, but that's dang near what it looks like. And if there were other instances of which the Justice Department was being fair-handed and, fair and even-handed on the law, especially when it comes to Hillary Clinton and Hunter Biden, I would be more open to saying, yeah, well what did Trump do? I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make is the prosecuting party has so sullied their reputation over the last several years. How are we supposed to believe them when they say, well, this one, we're going to play it straight? I don't know. There's a bunch of other comments, too. They were just factually inaccurate. It's like Hillary was tried in front of GOP people, and she was fine. And they're like, yeah, okay, but that was a committee that was formed to investigate Hillary. And yes, she testified under that committee, but Obama was still the president. So, does it, among many other factual inaccuracies going back and forth. And it was just fascinating to see the immediate jump to, you're just a Trump person trying to, no, if you've watched this show, you know that I think that Trump sticks his foot in his mouth a lot, and I wish he wouldn't. But at the same time, to understate, to say that, well, this is normal because he broke the law, is just pretty ideological at its bones. It's pretty partisan to just say, well, this is fine because this, and completely ignore all of the other times the FBI has completely ruined his reputation, and the DOJ. I know this is not, yeah. Here's what I thought was fascinating from this. Stop ranting on the monologue here. Fox News, well, I'm just going to play this, and this is going to be the order of operations when Trump turns himself in again in Miami at 3 p.m. Eastern. Check this out, and we'll discuss kind of on the other side. Watch this.
Yeah, good morning to you. President Trump is scheduled to appear in a courtroom at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Now, a little bit ahead of that, the former president is expected to turn himself in voluntarily to federal authorities. He'll be digitally fingerprinted. In other words, no ink. He'll be photographed. However, the photograph will not be released to the public, and at no point will he have to wear handcuffs.
Okay, so that's interesting. I brought this up last time he was arraigned in Manhattan. Why? Why do you go through all of the things? First of all, yeah, why do he's got to have a headshot? And to be honest with you, I would say this if Joe Biden was walking into jail too. Why do they need headshots? A headshot when you were arrested in, I don't know, the 60s or earlier than that was so that people knew what you looked like and could watch out for you if you were jumping bail, if they needed to arrest you. There were so many actual reasons for taking a headshot. Nowadays, in the digital world, I think we all know what Donald Trump looks like. They said in that video clip that the headshot will not be released. Mugshot. That's what I should be saying. Mugshot. A headshot is like an actor's photo. Maybe he's auditioning for a role. Who knows? They said, oh, the mugshot will not be released. Yeah. I would bet a healthy sum of money that mugshot of Donald Trump leaks. Honestly, I wouldn't even bet that it does leak. I would bet on the time frame in which it leaks. I would say within 4 days. And that's very generous, I think. It's not an if it leaks. It's when it leaks, when will that happen? And the fingerprinting. We know where the guy is. We know who he is. Is all that really necessary? And the whole handcuffs thing, he's not going to be handcuffed. Yeah. So there's that. All right. That's going to continue to be a story for a long time. I don't think any of that is going to go away anytime soon. like I said yesterday, there's not going to be any movement on the trial standpoint until like after the election. So we'll just kind of keep waiting and seeing. If anything happens during the arraignment today, we'll bring it to you tomorrow. But that's that. I wanted to get to this. Gavin Newsom went on Gavin Newsom went on Hannity's show, and I mentioned at the top of the show that we often look at Trump going on literally any of the talk shows, which he did all the time, and took questions from an unfriendly press all the freaking time, as well as many people do. Let's compare notes here. When's the last time, if we're going to say that you have quote unquote far right and far left people, let's just use their definition of far right and far left. Like, let's take like Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz goes on all of the talk shows, including the lefty side of the aisle. When's the last time you've seen AOC or Rashida Tlaib or Elizabeth Warren even go on Fox News or Newsmax? Never. Like, it never happens. All I'm trying to say is that conservatives / Republicans, whatever you want to call them, go on lefty shows all the time. And now that Gavin went on Hannity's thing, I think it's good. I think it's good that Gavin went on Hannity's show. I think it was fascinating. I think it was entertaining. I think, and I hope the American people aren't as easily duped as I think they might be with Gavin's nonsense. But I think it's a good thing. But at the same time, the entire lefty, like, Twitter space and social media was, look at Gavin going into the lion's den. Yeah, like Republicans do on a daily basis. I was kind of shocked that he went on Hannity, but at the same time, like, that shouldn't be abnormal. And yet it is for one side of the aisle. Watch this couple clips. This is kind of the big clip that's been making the rounds. They're going back and forth on Joe Biden, and Gavin is trying to defend it. Gavin uses some rhetorical, political / TV tactics. We'll kind of break it down as it goes. I'm going to pause it in the middle of this. That's what I'll do. I'm going to pause just so we can kind of see what's going on. Check it out. Watch this.
For our president, I have great confidence in his leadership.
I don't want him to fail.
Been able to accomplish.
I think his policies are failing.
CHIPS Act, Science Act. Do you oppose that?
I will tell you on every.
All right. So first thing right off the bat, Gavin knows that Hannity's going to say, I think his policies are failing. And then Gavin jumps immediately to a specific piece of legislation that can't not sound good. What was it? The Science Post? What? I don't even remember what it was. But that's immediately, right? So just the rhetorical battleground here. When Sean Hannity says, look, we're going to talk broad strokes overall, I think there's several things that are going wrong. Just look at the average American family. Gavin goes to a hyper-specific pinpoint, which again is a rhetorical trick to get Hannity to try and defend his position based on one particular thing. I think every American should take a debate class. Because this is, on Gavin, that's a smart move. It's cynical as hell. It's not at all fair to the overall encompassing argument of whether or not Joe Biden is doing a good job. But if the average American person doesn't understand that, and Sean does a pretty good job at getting away from it, if the average American doesn't understand what's happening when Gavin goes specifically hyper to this, which is kind of an old lefty tactic. Anytime somebody says, well, I'm against this, they say, well, you're against children eating lunch at school. Anyways, that's what happened there. We'll continue on.
Measure from the economy, inflation, borders, energy, national security. He's missing in action.
Let's talk about them in order.
Hang on.
Wait, I want to challenge the premise. You said the economy, 13.1 million jobs he's created. More.
These are post-COVID jobs.
Okay.
You know that. That's an artificial number.
No. Then let me stipulate this as an opportunity to engage civilly on this.
Okay.
Fair point. Your president, Donald Trump, lost 2.6 million jobs during his 4 years. We've created 13.1 million. Fine, you can maintain a COVID frame. How about the fact that Joe Biden's created more jobs, 6 times more jobs than the previous 3 Republican presidents combined?
Are you going to tell me
Sean,
that the average...
All right. right. So interesting. Sean called him out on that. Gavin expected him to call him out because the whole Joe Biden created whatever jobs, more jobs have been created. That whole thing is just a COVID nonsense. So Gavin tried to see if he could get away with it. Sean stopped him. He said he couldn't. But then he says, well, Joe Biden has created more jobs than the last, what did he say, 6 presidents combined? No, not combined, but the last 6 Republican presidents. 1, not accounting at all for population. 2, the president doesn't effing create jobs. That's just that. We should all lay that out. When Republicans say Trump created more jobs, or Joe Biden, when Democrats say Joe Biden created more jobs, the president doesn't effing create jobs. The president and the executive branch and Congress supposedly is supposed to help the environment for businesses to create jobs, but the president doesn't effing create jobs. No president creates jobs. They foster an environment that creates jobs. And lastly, if you want to talk about, if you set aside those two things, that population growth is definitely a thing. So yeah, I don't know, when Reagan was in office and there was tens of millions of less people, yeah, he created less jobs. And also the president doesn't create jobs. Aside from all of that, look at the spending that Joe Biden is trying to do. We had this massive, quote unquote, infrastructure plan in which government jobs were created. And that doesn't actually mean created jobs. That means the country going in debt and people languishing on that debt for a little while. But the whole, yeah, there's, what is it? There's lies, damn lies, and statistics. And Gavin throwing out a BS statistic there. Good thing Sean Hannity caught him on the COVID thing, but at the same time, this whole idea that the president creates jobs. And just so you know, too, whoever the next Republican president is, whether it's Trump or DeSantis, I will be outwardly saying the president doesn't create jobs. That's not how this works. And if we are in a society in which the president is personally creating a multitude of jobs, we have lost the country and delved into socialism. So, continue.
Rich family where we have 2/3 of Americans now living paycheck to paycheck.
It was 70% under Trump. That was 70%. It was 70% under Donald Trump.
Pre-COVID, we had the lowest unemployment rate for every demographic.
We have the lowest black unemployment in history, and you and I are living with the lowest unemployment in our lifetime, Sean.
We had it for every demographic, and the economy was
black unemployment's record low under Joe Biden.
Okay. We had historic low after historic low under Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. I mean, but he's cleaned Trump's clock, Biden, in terms of the progress and job creation. Look at what he's.
All right. So at that point, then it just kind of devolves into arguing over factual statistics. I have no idea if either of them were right. What I can say is that anecdotally, just people in general, I think everybody, judging by the stat of Joe Biden's approval rating, I'm going to go ahead and say that most people in general are thinking, yeah, this is not awesome. Gavin also brought up black unemployment, which the whole unemployment number, I've been saying this for the entirety of doing this show. The unemployment number is stupid. You fall out of the unemployment category after 6 months of looking for a job, or if you just aren't looking for a job in general. So the whole unemployment, what we should have is percentage of people in the workforce. That Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter who's the president. That's the statistic that we should look at, and that's how we should measure success, is how many working Americans of working age and ability are in the workforce. If you look at that number, it is crazy low for what it should be. But yeah, then it goes into like just rambling into dumb statistics. Then we go into Gavin talking about California specifically, in which if you live in California, yesterday we talked, let me play this clip and we'll discuss on the other side. Watch this.
In 2021, California had 7.8% of GDP growth in this country, one of the fastest growing economies anywhere on planet Earth. This state continues to be the tentpole of the American economy. 25.6% of all American jobs came from this state in April. In the last 2 fiscal years, we enjoyed $177.7 billion in operating surpluses. We're on our way to be the 4th largest economy, eat your heart out, Germany, in the world. Number one in R&D, venture capital, more scientists, researchers, more Nobel laureates, more patents emanating out of this state than any other state in America. With all due respect, Florida doesn't even come close. Eat your heart out, Texas. California continues to be the dominant economic engine for the American
I promised you before this interview I would let you give full answers. That's a full answer.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, it's a full answer. It's also incredibly misleading. Gavin saying California has had budget surpluses. The overwhelming majority of the California quote-unquote budget surplus has come from the federal government in the COVID aid. I just Googled really quick. California has received over $43 billion combined recovery funds from the American Rescue Plan. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, we can continue going on. Wow, there's even more than that when it comes to you actually put all the numbers together. Bottom line is California, if you don't live in California, you can probably say this, effectively stole a bunch of money from the federal government and then bragged about how much money they have. So I don't know if that really counts. But if I were in a red state that's paying taxes, I would be upset. Now, I guess if you're being fair too, you could also say that California pays a ton of money in taxes to the federal government, just in terms of the economy at scale. But at the same time, to go around bragging that you have more money because you received more money from Uncle Sam, the federal government, is not anywhere near a fair argument. So while I like Gavin going on Sean Hannity and Sean airing all of the answers, I'm still more. This is what leans me so much more into the Joe Rogan podcast world of just like 3 hours go. And I would be really curious if, I don't know. That's what I think presidential debates should be. I think presidential debates, screw the formality of asking a question and an audience and the moderator. No. Just have the two candidates from the two major parties sit down at a table with microphones and talk about anything. Like literally anything. I think that would be so much better. Where did the time go? All right, so that's that. I want to get to this because I think, we're not even okay. Hold on. We're gonna go straight to here because I think this is necessary. We'll play the Huntington Beach thing tomorrow, but I just want to play this really quick before we hop off here. Just watch this. There's no explanation needed. Nothing really needed to say here. This just happened. This was a thing that happened and it was posted on TikTok. Watch this.
Hey, Mr. President, it is an honor. Trans rights are human rights.
Are we topless at the White House?
One of the bravest and most inspiring people I've ever known.
Yeah, bravest, most inspiring people he's ever known, as well as Hunter Biden, the smartest guy he knows. I don't think that even needs any commentary. So that'll do it for us today. Didn't get to the Huntington Beach thing. Maybe we'll get to that tomorrow. But appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in JOBOB. Pretty much anywhere you'll be able to find me. Let's see. What else was I going to say? I was going to say something else. Forget it. I'm late to a thing, so I got to head out. But appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. See you tomorrow. Same time, same place. God bless America.